the far north of Australia, in the middle of Kakadu National Park, there is a uranium mine. Ranger has been in operation since 1979. It is Australia's largest uranium mine and the third largest in the world. The trucks that leave Ranger carry uranium oxide bound for nuclear power plants in Europe, North America and Asia. For the last 20 years, there's been resistance to Australia being part of this nuclear fuel cycle. Ranger Mine is owned and managed by Energy Resources of Australia, or ERA.
This is the security gate, everyone has to sign in just here. So if you just put the date, the time and password. Morning Bradley, how are you? Good.
Phil Devine is employed at the mine as Head of Security and Emergency Services and has worked here for the last 11 years.
If you just swing across there now, you'll see dropping sulphur onto, that actually goes onto a conveyor too. The operators and drivers, they work in air-conditioned cabs and they're also monitored with PASs or personal air samplers. The water trucks keep the dust down and that also reduces the risk of contamination through inhaling dust.
Phil is convinced that uranium mining presents no threat to his health and will leave no lasting impact on the surrounding environment.
Okay, this is what was Ore Body 1, which was mined out about 4 years ago. They're not a pretty sight. Once operations cease, it'll be plugged with rock and so forth. There'll be dirt put over the top of that and be planted back to look much the same as what we've just walked through there, natural bush.
Get my, I don't know, what's it look like?
Philip Shervington is the Chief Executive from ERA's headquarters in Sydney.
The Ranger ore bodies will be mined out by 2004 and all the ore will be milled by about 2006. And that's the reason we need Jabiluka. Without Jabiluka, there'll be no more ore to keep the Ranger operation going and to keep Jabiru going in that sense.
Jabaluka is 20 kilometres north of Ranger Mine. It's one of the largest undeveloped uranium deposits of its kind in the world, and it is the first of at least 17 proposed new mines in Australia to begin construction. The news of Jabaluka mine sparked protest rallies around the country. An estimated 5,000 people marched through the streets of Sydney, calling on the government to stop the construction of this new uranium mine.
We will not be able to travel across our country like we've done in the past. We watch it being desecrated day after day. People creating more and more pollution. We know that it's not safe. It can't be stored. It puts all of us at threat. And I would ask you all to get off your mum, your bum, get off it and stop Jabaluka. Thank you.
The Aboriginal owners of the area around Jabaluka are called the Mirarr people. They put out the call for a blockade in Kakadu, aimed at physically preventing construction of the new Jabaluka mine.
Aboriginal people have suffered the consequences of uranium mining for 15 years now, and it's clear there is no benefit from uranium mining.
The focus of this debate about uranium is about to descend on the people of the remote outback area of Kakadu. Phil Devine lives in Jabiru, 11 kilometres northwest of Ranger. The town was built by the mining company to house its workers. Phil's wife and children have moved to Darwin to pursue their careers, and he now lives alone.
Come here. So how was your day, eh?
Despite the controversy about uranium mining, Phil is very comfortable with his job.
Nothing would ever tell me that this company is doing the wrong thing by mining uranium, or indeed that I'm doing the wrong thing by working for a company that mines uranium. Nothing would ever change my opinion on that.
So, would you be able
to go to this blockade.
So where will you stay?
In Kakadu.
In the camp.
In the camp. It's a camp, really well set up camp. I haven't heard that much about it really. I've only heard the basics. But
one of the concerns I had is the miners and the mining community. They're not going to be very happy, are they, about blockades and so on and so forth?
I think they're the people we really need to talk to about the mine.
Aren't they going to be the main people who are going to get cancer and all this?
Exactly.
You'll be worse off out of it in the end.
But
The protesters are only there for a certain amount of time. The miners are there forever.
Mining community can be pretty conservative in terms of their jobs.
Bloody hell.
That's
It's like the logging community.
Yeah, and their attitude could be quite hostile.
if we really care about the future generations, then it's up to us to go and stop it now, even if we do get cancer, because it's going to cause a lot more illness and death in the future. So that's another,
What's more to the breach?
All that kind of stuff, because it's going to be the tailing dams and the waste that's going to do the most damage.
Isabel has never been to a blockade before, and like many of her travelling companions, is venturing into the unknown.
I think we're going.
A little girl going off.
Okay, welcome to the ones we've just picked up. Our next stop is Woomba.
Isabel's journey to the blockade will cover 4,000 kilometres and take 51 hours.
I've also got a uranium oil honey casting, which I suppose is just supposed to protect you if you've got any exposure to uranium.
Isabel's destination is a protesters' camp right in the heart of Kakadu National Park, a World Heritage listed area. Kakadu is Australia's largest national park and contains some of the world's most diverse and ecologically rich areas. The region is also home to Aboriginal people and has been for 40,000 years. The escarpments and gorges conceal many archaeological and sacred sites. During the first 200 years of European occupation of the country, this region was taken over by white settlers for farming and buffalo hunting. Then, in the 1970s, large deposits of uranium were discovered, and an isolated part of Australia became the focus for conflicting social, economic, and political agendas. The Jabaluka Blockade has been underway for 3 weeks and is attracting people from all around the country. A major part of the campaign is to capture public interest. Media attention has become focused on Yvonne Margarula, the senior traditional owner of this land.
Still fighting strong then?
Still fighting. I still stand up and fight the company. I'm not going to change mine. Keep going.
We'll make it a really quick photo. Yeah, quick everyone. Because Yvonne's not feeling that crash hot today.
It was Yvonne's father, Toby Gangale, who approved the original agreement for the Jabiluka mine in 1982. Yvonne claims her father was coerced into the agreement, and she does not want the new mine to proceed.
When you listen to our government talk, they will say to the public, there is no damage to Kakadu National Park, but they cannot see the people.
Much of the debate about mining in Kakadu involves the rights of Aboriginal people. In 1979, the Australian government did a deal with the traditional owners of this land. They offered to give them their country back with 2 conditions: that they leased it to the Australian government to manage as a national park, and that they allowed a portion of the land to be leased for the mining of uranium. The traditional owners at that time saw no better option and accepted the deal. Kakadu National Park was created, and Ranger Mine commenced operations. The protest camp is on Mirarr land. Although the Mirarr put out the call for the blockade, they are running the campaign from an office in town and have very little contact with the protesters.
On behalf of the group that's around, I'd like to welcome everyone here because it's so good that you guys could come and showing your support.
How are you finding getting used to being in the camp or just living under a tent again?
I think that's part of me getting a little bit sick and stuff, just having to adapt to the water and the food and yeah, the climate for sure.
Then to also sort of have this feeling that, you know, it's escalating and you should be really active or you should be on the front line straight away kind of thing. I think that's put a bit of pressure on yourself to do that.
And added on to that, not knowing exactly what to do.
I'm here in support of the Mirarr people, the traditional owners who have only been considered citizens in their own country for 30 years. They still don't have the right to say no to mining on their own land, and I reckon that if the reconciliation process is to mean anything, then that power imbalance has to change.
People say, you know, why do you take up so many causes? Of course, you could list all my interests, you know, the women's movement, the environmental movement, the land rights and so on, but you end up realising how linked they are, that it's part of the oppression of either poor people or the land or people, the things that they think don't count if you can make money out of them. So somehow, and in the end you just go where your heart feels right, and for me, it's been uranium.
Events, I always look at them from an international perspective. And this is just another battle that we're fighting here. There's battles going on in every other country of the world.
I just can't understand why it takes so much to make it blindingly obvious why taking uranium out of the ground where it's safe and putting it into the environment where it's unsafe and shipping it off so that it provides two services, as nuclear weapons or as nuclear waste. There just isn't any sense in that.
Current mob of politicians won't be responsible in 200,000 years for what happens to that stuff. And we've got a country which can use wind and solar power. We've got plenty of sun and plenty of wind. We could develop that.
Uranium, my cranium can't comprehend the fact of the way and the degree that the land has been attacked. This government's compassionate, just like a big bazooka. So are you gonna let them mine Jabaluka? No way!
As head of security for ERA, Phil is one of the few mine workers who'll come into direct contact with the protesters.
There you go. Why would the government have given it the go-ahead to begin with if they weren't satisfied that these catastrophes that people are saying will happen? Why would they give the mine the go-ahead if they were at all worried that something like this would happen?
Phil and his employer ERA are convinced that Australia's uranium plays a justifiable and safe role in the world's nuclear power industry. The head of ERA is adamant that scientists will find a safe method of managing nuclear waste for up to 250,000 years, and the risk of accidents has been minimised.
Any accident is extremely unfortunate, and we would hope that no accidents occur because a lot of lessons have been learned from Chernobyl, and certainly the reactors in the Western countries are much safer than the Russian reactors ever were, and certainly are now.
Isabel and the other protesters are not convinced by these assurances and are concerned that Australia's uranium could contribute to another major nuclear accident or be used for nuclear weapons. This is the entrance to the Jabaluka mine site. It has been held by the protesters since the blockade began. Their plan is to keep control of the gate and prevent ERA from bringing any construction workers or equipment onto the mine site.
How you going? You're not sleeping, are you? You're not sleeping, are you? Sleeping? Sleeping on the job? Well, how come you get the comfy seat anyway? Well, that's what I want to know.
Hi. Hi.
Police Superintendent Gary Smith is in charge of Operation Jabaluka.
Jabiru Police.
Coincidentally, the cells of Jabiru Police Station have just been renovated.
We finally got them done. And as you can see, they actually conform with the standards in the recommendations of the Aboriginal deaths in custody. It's been a while coming, but as you can imagine, we've had a number of cells to do right throughout the Northern Territory, and we were so very lucky to get these done while this protest was on. So they were, we reckon they're pretty flash.
So how many people do you reckon you could fit in here?
I'm not sure. We've never had it to actual capacity, but I would imagine with standing room only, we could probably get a couple of hundred in here. I think the nuclear age has certainly been dead and buried back in the 60s and 70s, and the nuclear arms race is basically vanished from the world. So I really don't see uranium as being such a big issue, and I'm neither for it nor against it. And I guess that really helps when I'm dealing with policing in an issue like this.
Gary has arranged for an expert in protest intelligence gathering to be brought in from Darwin to help with Operation Jabaluka. He joins an employee of ERA on one of their surveillance flights to observe the protesters and their camp.
They reckon they're going to be moving us within a week.
I reckon we should do just a mass arrest when they try to break this.
Oh, absolutely. And I think
we should all go to prison and refuse bail, sit in Darwin jail.
If we're all together, that would be okay, but they could make it really nasty for us.
Sure, they're going to do it. But...
And mass arrests, yep, I'm going to get, and when I have to, I'll get arrested, for sure.
It is the day before International Jabaluka Day, and the Mirror have given approval for a protest action to get media attention.
So the first bus goes at 4, is half an hour fine to get to Ranger? Yes. So do we have people who are at Jabaluka who can be arrestable? We need at least 2. So M, Tom.
And so it's pretty sort of full-on blockading stuff, which I don't think I'd actually sort of comprehended that. Like that's what we were going to be doing. Like I don't know what I thought we were going to be doing when I got here, but it's like, it's really full-on blockading, like physical blockading stuff.
It's 4 a.m. and the protesters plan to block the road between Jabiru and Ranger Mine.
Wouldn't be bad if we could work out some way to keep this gate shut other than me leaning on it.
I'll get it.
Isabel's role is to support one of the protesters whose arm is locked into a barrel filled with cement.
Everyone's been saying that they haven't really done this in the Northern Territory before, so we don't know if they know what to expect, so we can't expect how they're going to react or whether they're going to ignore us because they know it's only for one day, or they might cut us out. I don't know.
You're stopping people going to work here, mate. Before you're committing an offence. So we require you to unblock the road.
Well, I'm not a leader. I'm just police liaisons.
Emma?
We'd have to discuss it with the rest of the mob.
Well, do you want to have a discussion because there'll be a lot of people coming out this way shortly?
We've had a request to unblock the road. Are we going to do it? No! We can't. Not until the uranium mining stops in Kakadu.
Well, you're going to be sitting here a long time then, aren't you? Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
No, thank you. We'll see you later. Have a nice day.
You too.
Phil Devine is unable to get to work and returns to town to get instructions on how to deal with the situation.
Close down, ERA, Mr. Howard, here I say.
67% of Australians are opposed to this mine going ahead. Uranium mining produces radioactive waste at every single stage of the nuclear cycle, and no one knows how to store that waste properly or safely. And on top of that, the civilian and military uses can't be separated.
Phil has been instructed to issue the protesters with trespass notices.
Jabaluka Blockade? Does that mean we have to leave?
No, you don't have to leave. If you're issued with a trespass notice, it means you can't go on the lease. Whilst you're on the lease already,
Right,
it
they
means
can't issue another one.
all I need is access for people to go about their lawful business.
One of the ERA workers has decided to take matters into his own hands and force open the gate. The complication is that there is a protester perched on the wooden tripod above.
Where's the police officer here? Excuse me?
Is it stupid? If you kill this guy, you'll all be bloody sorry for it. Purse. You got him through, please?
The Territory Response Group, or TRG, are called in. These are specialised police officers who, amongst other things, are trained in anti-terrorist operations.
The whole operation is just too dangerous. I mean, these people could stand to get their arms cut, arms broken.
It takes over 5 hours to clear the road, and 8 people are arrested.
Because we love this country more than anything else. We don't want to see it turned into a radioactive wasteland for future generations.
I got a bit sort of worked up, so I was a bit shaky and sort of singing, and I think they're okay.
There's one. That's two.
So how do you feel when everyone's yelling at you, ERA, go away?
It does become stressful, I must admit, but I guess the thing is, when it's all said and done, I'm here to do a job. Therefore, I consider that I'd be letting myself down badly, and also the company, myself first, and the company, because I like to think that I have a reputation for having a cool head and for being able to handle situations. And I pride myself on that fact.
Although Jabiru was originally built as a mining town, it has developed into a tourist centre for the region. Sab Lord is part of that industry.
Keep it straight, right there, that's it.
But it is a seasonal industry, and in the wet season there is not enough tourism to maintain his business, Lords of Kakadu Tours.
I think I'm killing the pate, but not for that one. Have a glass of water. Is there Coke there? There's Coke. Real men drink Coke. You'll be right.
Sab has serious concerns about the future of the town if the mine was forced to close.
People like myself would eventually go out of business with contracts. The township in 7 years has been stated that it would slowly start to die, with the mine starting to wind down, which then in effect would have complications with the power because the government wouldn't bring the power through. Also the supermarket, my wife's shop would be affected because of the downturn in the sales from Aboriginals, her major customers. They wouldn't be getting the royalty money, so of course that's a downfall there. And the township slowly would die. There is not enough tourism in Kakadu National Park to sustain this town.
The chairman of Jabiru Town Council is very clear about how the town deals with the issue of uranium mining.
Well, Council's position is it has no position. We don't have a policy on uranium mining. We have to represent a whole diverse community base, and we'd all go absolutely off our heads if we got into the big debate. So we leave that for the rest of the world. They seem to have it very much in hand.
In an early morning raid, Gary and the TRG have surprised the protesters and dismantled the blockade. The 3 cars, the tripod and banners are removed, and 8 people are arrested.
TRG were amazingly rough this morning. It's not really nice to be manhandled in such a way for just a peaceful action, you know? I was literally picked off the ground by my hair and then had my face slammed into the ground and then stood on my head.
1 week later, the Northern Territory government gives the go-ahead for construction to begin at Jabaluka.
This brings to fruition the Territory's government's efforts to have another uranium mine on stream in the Territory.
The campaign is hotting up. There are now over 500 protesters here to support Yvonne Margarula and the Mirarr people. They plan to take the fight to Paris, where Yvonne will ask the World Heritage Commission to come to Kakadu to see firsthand the impact of uranium mining on her people and her country.
Australia won't tolerate the nuclear fuel cycle. Australia won't assist large companies in ruining the lives of people all around the world for up to 250,000 years. These are the consequences.
While the protest starts to attract international attention, life in the town of Jabiru appears to go on as normal.
Welcome to our fashion parade. As I said before, all the models are local, guys and girls.
Everybody's kind of in a bit of a frenzy. I suppose the nerves are getting up, and we're just about to try on our first lot of clothes, which is lingerie.
Sab and his wife Caroline have organised the fashion parade in the community hall to raise money for children with cancer.
I'm sure there's mums out here who are, and fathers, but mums who've got kids and their husband might work in the mine, and I don't know, I'd be concerned, and I'm sure they're starting to realise that, what are they all protesting about? And that's when it comes back to awareness. If we're all here, they're going to have to start thinking about it and talking about it. They'll go, they might all get together over a cup of tea or something, at least they're discussing it. And
I don't think Jabiru with its 1,500 people is really that much of a bonus to have in exchange for a mine.
It's not just Jabiru, no way. No way, it's definitely a federal issue, and especially with the thought of other mines being approved around Australia. I mean, people are starting to think, if it can happen here in this absolutely beautiful place, it can definitely happen in Queensland and South Australia and all over. In Western Australia, there's proposed mines everywhere.
People in town are not very happy with them because, the mine is, and tourism is part of our, our livelihood. Without the mine, we wouldn't be here.
I just want to ask about yellow waters tours.
Certainly, yes. I'll show you the brochures over here.
That's what they do, the professional bludgers, and they protest everywhere. Anytime there's something up, they head off because they're on the dole. They're getting fed out there. And, there's just... I just can't understand.
No more uranium, leave it in the ground. No more uranium, leave it in the ground. We are singing this song for Jabaluka. We are singing.
I think there's an attitude in this country that the unemployed are the great unwashed and don't do anything. Over 100 people got up at 3 o'clock this morning to go on a 17-kilometre walk to stand up for what they believe in. I don't know about unemployed. I would say disenchanted with the existing employment situation, maybe.
The police are now in control of the gate into the Jabaluka uranium lease. Since they dismantled the blockade, they've installed a 24-hour watch, threatening to arrest anyone who crosses their fence of red tape.
Give us a look at the gadge. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Is it pleasure or duty?
Now, contrary to popular opinion, the police are in fact a very diverse group of people. They've just recently branched into their own film company. If any of you watch commercial television, I'm sure a lot of you will see it on the police funniest home videos. They have footage of themselves incriminating each other. So I need a couple of volunteers. I need that many volunteers. Very simple thing. I guarantee this is something that you haven't done for a very long time. You ready?
Oh, excellent.
Ready? You're going to have to watch me. You're going to have to turn around and watch me. Ready? On the count of 3. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. Do the hokey-cokey and you turn around. That's what it's all about. Bend over. Yeah!
8 protesters decide to defy the police and cross the line.
We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday.
They are taken to Jabiru police station where they spend several hours.
In my heart,
For 2 of the protesters, this was not a new experience.
I remember the first time I was arrested. That was pretty scary stuff. But I have to admit, I've been arrested quite a few times since then, and you get a bit blasé almost about it. But perhaps one of the ultimate sacrifices you can make in the Australian scene, in our own environment, you go to jail for your principles. That's pretty strong stuff still.
Important. I mean, I'm still not unsure whether I'm prepared to get arrested, which I feel like I'm a little bit of a wimp because it's like something I really believe in, and I should just put my, put myself on the line and not worry about, oh, I can't get a job as teacher or go overseas.
For me, the Vietnam War did a couple of things. It really galvanised me because I was a housewife in the suburbs, 3 young kids, very nervous of political action. And I mean, remember the moratorium, they said there were going to be riots, people are going to be pushed and shoved, and I was very nervous. But at the same time, I was inspired by the people power.
When the Vietnam War got going, as far as Australia was concerned, I became active because I could see my kids were going to get called up in a couple of years and I wasn't going to let that happen.
In 1969 I went to Vietnam. I was 19 when I went over there. It did a fair bit to shape my life. I would hate to see my son called up now by a government and then sent away to fight a war. I just wouldn't, I think I'd encourage him to go bush.
Or protest?
Yeah, or protest, yeah.
Your kids ever protested?
No.
Do you think they
No. I don't know, I think my kids are a bit like me. They're probably, I think we probably come from a long line of people who, unquestionably did what we were told or asked by our country.
It's 2 weeks since the mine was given the official go-ahead, and the tension is building as everyone anticipates the arrival of the heavy machinery. Down the road, a truck heading in the direction of the Jabaluka lease has been forced to stop by the protesters.
What we've got is, we've got 4 protesters that have locked onto this low loader and bulldozer. The only problem is, this bulldozer has nothing to do with ERA mining in any way whatsoever, nor the new Jabiluka portal. This vehicle is on its way up into Arnhem Land, where it will work on the roads around the Aboriginal communities. So it's a waste of time and effort by everybody.
Everyone's asking me what I'm doing. You know? There's more infringement in those rights rather than a bloody little uranium mine.
You can understand these people have been here for quite a long while.
No, they've been here stuff war making people where I've been and other people before.
Yeah, but they're living out there in the bush and they're not up here just for the hell of it. They've come to stop a uranium mine.
Where I live either.
Deny those people water. You would go down for that. Where are the people up the top? They need water.
Bloody Kakadu would be shit all if it was bloody, if the bloody mine wasn't here. Who put the road in there?
I'm not concerned.
You don't know. You don't know who put the mine in there, why it's opened up, how come people get out of this area.
Well,
it's because of mining.
Because nobody wanted a uranium mine here anyway. The original owners certainly didn't. And I think that, but we can argue around that all day, whether it is or it isn't, and if it's worth saving or not. I happen to think, and the rest of the world, or a lot of world people, think that it's worth saving. Yeah, I mean, it's great in a way. It's a pity that it's the wrong truck, but it just shows them, and it'll give them a lot of heart, because they'll be able to realise that they can stop stuff when it comes through.
I think we need to recognise this.
The protesters are given a fax confirming that the driver is on his way to an Aboriginal community in Arnhem Land, but they are not convinced and elect to stay locked on. Their suspicions are further aroused when Phil Devine arrives on the scene and begins talking to the truck driver. After a 6-hour lock-on, it takes the TRG another 2 hours to cut the protesters out.
Robert 1, do you copy? Isaac has been arrested. Over and out.
Later that night, the truck drove onto the Jabaluka lease and in the morning became the first vehicle to begin construction of the Jabaluka mine.
Yes, we're aware of that.
Phil Devine gives his side of the story.
ERA asked the owner-operator if he would like to make up for lost time and lost money, so to speak, by hiring his bulldozer to the company. As a result, the bulldozer was, once it was freed from the Jabaluka Alliance people, it was brought to site here and used to start the clearing for the actual Jabaluka mine. Simple as that.
I think a lot of people that are here are not necessarily pro-uranium mining. A lot of people may be here because of the financial benefits of living in a small community in a remote locality. I know with the government jobs there's a lot of district allowances that get paid. Your living expenses, etc., are subsidised. There's a lot of financial benefits. So if you want to get ahead, I mean, some people just make that kind of sacrifice regardless of their opinion on uranium mining. Well, what about you? I mean, do you have to deal with that issue for yourself? Not really. No, not really. I mean, apart from the fact that I suppose it's discussed a little bit at work. No, I haven't even really thought about it.
Here.
Yeah.
The protesters have been frustrated. In the past few days, ERA have managed to bring most of the heavy machinery through to the mine, and it appears that the battle is lost. But unwilling to give up, the protesters are determined to get their message across to the mine workers.
Take fake, make no mistake, multinational mining companies are on the take. They'll kill the Bulga, they'll kill the Melaleuca, so are you gonna let them mine Jabaluka? No way!
Rick's just got over inside.
So we're trying to look after the planet here, not just...
Well, that's fine. Go and look after the planet. Do not break the law.
Okay, I have not broken the law here.
It's as simple as that.
Okay?
Jabiluka Campaign Office.
I've decided to go home. There's a bus coming in a few days, so I'll be on that bus back home again. I don't know how much I achieved, but I think that I have a better idea of what to do when I get home, sort of, yeah, working at that grassroots level and helping to mobilise the rest of Australia.
I'm staying because I don't feel ready to leave yet, and I don't think that I've finished my part in this. The longer you stay, I think the harder it is to leave anyway. I think it's quite compelling, and I get more and more inspired and more convinced that we can do it.
Bye, friends.
Now, we were pretty much aware that they were going to come back again this morning, so it looks like there may very well have to be a great deal of arrests this morning. Now, when you're dealing with these people, as in the past, just remember that their cause is to stop this mine. They have a bit of respect for that, and they are really going to vehemently fight to stop it.
It's pretty daunting at the moment. About 10 here and 300 of them coming up. Yeah, we're a bit outnumbered.
This is the first time that the protesters have en masse defied the police and pushed through the tape. Over 200 people get through and march the 4 kilometres up the hill to the Jabaluka mine site.
Keep an eye on your vehicles, and if they do get over the fence, give us a yell and they'll be arrested for trespass. Well, at the moment they're all trespassing. If any people attempt to cross the fence or commit any other offences such as damage on vehicles and stuff, they'll appropriately be arrested. So,
as far as I know, they're planning to sit here.
All right, well, as soon as we get cages here, they're going to be placed in the vehicles and they'll be arrested for trespass.
Okay.
So you might want to inform them of that.
Yeah.
We come from all over Australia to say this is wrong, this is mirror country. All of our kids want a uranium mine? All heritage. Ask your kids if they want the mine.
I can't comment. I'm not allowed to comment on this sort of thing. So you can have a shot of me with my stress ball here if you like.
Keep it down. Because what I have to say is fairly important, and I believe a number of you wish to look at this option. This gentleman to my left is Mr. Devine. He works for ERA and he wishes to advise you of something, so listen up.
And he's got to read it.
That's correct.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a delegated representative of the lawful occupier of this lease. As such, I now direct you to leave this lease immediately. I caution you that if you do not leave, you may be arrested for trespassing on this lease. Thank you.
But those that wish to leave now will not be charged with any offences in relation to their being here this morning.
We're going home in the back of a jeep. We're going home in the back of a jeepy van. We're going home in the back of a jeepy van. We're going home in the back of a jeepy van.
The details of the person has been arrested and the arresting officer, that person is placed in the cage. There is no rush. We've got all day to do this. Okay. Slowly.
What's your name? Tanya. Tanya, second name?
This is the
first time you've been arrested, Tanya? Yeah, it is.
Obviously there's prisoners being processed here. What I'll have to do before I allow you to do any filming in here, I'll have to ask these people if they don't mind if you're filming. Okay? So we'll just do that at the moment. You just let me in here. Listen to me, please. I know you're all very excited. Now, I'd like to get a bit of an indication from you at this particular stage whether you're going to accept bail or not.
Almost 3,000 people took part in the Jabaluka Blockade. 527 of these were arrested. The estimated court costs and fines paid by the protesters to date amounts to $29,000. Some will do time in prison. All are responsible for their own fines, which range between $100 and $1,500 each.
I often think at times what it would have been like if there hadn't been protest movements and that developers could come in and at will and knock down all the old heritage buildings, what our cities would look like, what it would be like if there'd been no restrictions on logging, if there'd been no anti-war movements. So in a sense, yeah, we've achieved a lot, but all we've done is stop them from doing their utmost to destroy the planet.
There's that old saying about keeping the bastards honest, if you could pardon that protesters do have that role.
Are they keeping ERA honest?
I would think so, yeah. ERA's always been honest.
I suppose with a number of people that it would have made them think about where they stood on the Jabiluka issue, but personally I kind of kept pretty neutral with it.
I think every now and again it goes through your mind of the humming of no more uranium, leave it in the ground. I mean that sort of haunts you every now and again.
I feel that I'm preserving the environment and at the same time generating wealth for the Aboriginal community and for Australia.
Everybody understands all over the world. We've just come back from Paris, speaking to the World Heritage Bureau. They do have significant concerns about how the Australian government takes its responsibility seriously to protect World Heritage areas. Yeah. These are issues that Australia can't turn away from.
I've decided to leave next week. I've been here for almost 3 months, and every morning now I wake up and I see how beautiful it is here, and I didn't know what's going on the other side of that gate, and it just breaks my heart. It weighs really heavy on me, and I want to take the energy that I have and I want to put it into use somewhere else where I can fight stronger, because it's just too hard for me here now.
The World Heritage Committee did visit Kakadu and concluded that the Jabaluka mine does threaten the park's World Heritage values and have called for the mine to be stopped. The Australian government and ERA claim this finding is flawed and have refused to call a halt to construction. The blockade was shut down at the start of the wet season, but the protest movement and opposition to the nuclear industry around the world is intensifying. The global supply of uranium now exceeds demand, and ERA's share price has fallen 65% since they commenced the Jabaluka development. Part of Ranger Mill has been closed in response to falling demand. However, work continues on the Jabaluka mine.